Good day, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. We're on to a new week. I'm just pre-fitting this because I just glued on these little brass decorations down here on both sides, and I got these cleaned up, ready to glue. I wanted to make sure everything still fit. It's been several weeks since we preset these little ears in preparation for this day. Because we wanted to make sure them little ears were in the right spot for a moment like this. I think I need a little counterweight sitting on that, don't I? Something that's not too heavy. Here we go. That's a little fat for what I want. I just want a little bit of weight. Because the next one is going to utilize that same spot down here. I wonder if I ought to put a little bead because that's going to join these two sections together. Like that. And then the next one we've already filed a little angle on this surface so that this piece would sit down on there right. And this piece is only sharing half of that angle to the last piece to go on there. And the last piece has got to lean, so I'm going to add somewhere it's going to lean on there. Yep, just like that. Now, I do want to clamp this so that it lightly pushes down toward all the joints. Close all them joints up. Okay. So this side is sticking out a little more than that side is, but up here at the top it's in the middle. Can't get too picky. Should have enough glue on there. I should have put some glue across the back end there. So I'm gonna have to do that from underneath. After this dries, I'll add more underneath there to make sure we got a good bond everywhere. So, takes care of that step. We got the gold or brass decoration SDL and SDR on there, and the decking for the bowsprit so they can walk on, get up to the bowsprit beam. Let's see what the next set of photographs. Oh boy, now we're in for it. How many cannon holes we got? We got gun ports galore, and each one of them needs to be framed in with a pre-painted piece of wood. It looks like the framing is flush. WS7. I don't have the parts list up. I'll have to get the parts list up to see what WS7 is. So that's going to take forever. Yep. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33 times 2 is 66 minimum. I'm sure I miscounted there. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to streamline that process. Good grief almighty. To frame in each one of these little openings. I'm not gonna really attempt to miter the corners. I'll just let's see what's going to be visible and what's not. If I make the bottom and the top long and then the sides fit in between the bottom and the top, I'm thinking that might be, each one of them probably is going to have to be done individually. And they're painted yellow. That's the other problem. If I pre-paint the strips, then I'm going to have exposed cut-ins after I cut. But that's probably okay. Yeah, we'll pre-paint the strips and then cut them, and if we need to do any touch-up, it'll be very, very small corner touch-ups. But if they're pre-painted at least on one edge, so we get too much paint on there, your glue's not going to work good on the. So that's the dilemma ahead of us. See what I can find on those strips and get them out and get them started painted. Okay, a little messy, but we got all the strips painted on all four sides. We'll have to let that dry. But that was 1 millimeter by 3 millimeters, 300 millimeters long. Yep, we gotta let that dry before we can go on to start cutting and fitting those. And then I'm going to use some it's not Loctite, but it's a medium, which means it's not liquid, it's a little more soupy. It's not the thick, it's the middle. Not the thick and not the thin. And I got some dispensing tips to go with it, a couple tubes of that. And I already used this on the brass pieces and cleaned it out so it'll still work. I got some extra tips. And the brass, I got some spacers in there just to hold it up snug while the super glue dries. I got about the same spacing on both sides, so hopefully that stays after I pull them spacers out. You never know with glue. So we'll come back after that yellow dries and see what it feels like cutting and fitting these. So I got one in there. What I'm doing here is the top, and I, just pre-measured that with a board and a pencil and cut it with the KitchenAid scissors. Now I'm trying to and it don't want to go. And I don't want to drop it in the hole. Each one of these is going to be a little battle. I want it to hang out a little bit. Like that. So I've got a little bit of probably 1.5 millimeters or so hanging over the face there. And then if I get any glue on that, I'm wiping it off. And I'm pre-fitting. I'm cutting these so they're tight. I want them as tight as I can get, so it's going to stay in there after the glue dries. I'll try to use a pair of pliers, which in some cases might be better than the tweezers. Because we are forcing that thing down in there. Now it's in position, but it's sticking up too much on the left here. See what I mean? And the more you fiddle with it, I'm looking for something I can push with that's not. Oh my gosh. So as you can see, just because I want to make that a little adjustment, it's really giving me a hard time. There. I'm trying to keep it the same level because when I stick this next one in, which I'm just going for a rough mark. Then when I'm cutting that, I can see with these scissors where that line is at. Boofy got up while I was cutting that, and the stick fell on his hairy back, and he walked away with my stick. So now you can see after the cut, we got some knurly corners, so I'm just ever so lightly dragging that on my sandpaper over there to clean those corners up. Now I want to test fit which looks good. That's too much. So take some of that off with the rag. And push that into position. Making sure that it's plumb. Each hole is going to be, see, like this hole up here is a little low on the left side, high on the right. I'm going to have to probably try to pre-trim that off a little bit on the right, so this one's a little too wide on the bottom on the side here and not on the top, so I'm going to try to make them look as square as I can as I go along. I should have whacked a little off of that. That was my first one. Obviously the first one is always one that you sort of experiment on. This glue seems to be working really good though. We'll find out over time how it holds up. So I'm right on my pencil mark. Clean up them burrs. Test fit. And stick her in there. Top's a little low. I go messing with it. The more you mess with it, more chances you are going to have trouble. But it looks like it's in the right spot, so we'll just keep on going. Well, obviously I'm not going to torture you with this endless, repetitive. Well, I did that on a calculator. It was like, we did 66 count the other day. I don't know if that's right or not. It's probably more. But multiply that times 4, because you got 4 cuts for each hole. And then I used a rough estimate of about 11 millimeters. And that came out to about 1,000 something millimeters. So then divided that by 300 millimeter boards, so I knew how many boards to get out and paint. So we got to use up all this one little 10 or 11 millimeter section at a time. Pure torture. But I did get that much done yesterday. Today is Saturday. Been out running around doing stuff. So we are done for the week. We'll work on this next week. But we know what we're in for. I've got a pretty good idea of how to make it go, and the glue is working really well. So we just got to stay at it and try to make them as neat as we can in the process. Thanks for watching.